Good morning, students. The next topic that we are going to see is medicine and regulation. Okay, so medicine is a very important part of our health system because all patients are prescribed medicines based on their disease. So the medicines that are prescribed have to be regulated. Okay, so why do we need regulation in medicine? I'll again take the example of coronavirus. Recently, when the virus started spreading around the world, Donald Trump, the president of America, told that hydroxychloroquine, which is one drug used to treat some diseases, is effective for treatment of coronavirus. Okay, so people and all countries started buying the medicine from India. Now they have found that the medicine may not be helpful for treatment of coronavirus. Okay, so same way some individuals in America, they took some chloroquine from some other source and one person died also. So medicine has to be regulated, otherwise there can be lot of ill effects or problems and even deaths. Okay, so the country or the state plays a major role in regulating medicines, the creation, spread and sale of medicines. So the safety of medicine is very important because a lot of medicines have side effects if they are not taken properly in a different dose or if they are taken for a wrong disease. So the right medicine for the right disease should be consumed and a doctor should prescribe most of the medicines. Otherwise, if you are able to buy medicines from the shop without prescription, then it can lead to serious side effects. For example, I will just give an instance. In CMC Vellore, there was a child who the mother gave, instead of giving 1 mg of a syrup, she gave 10 mg of the syrup. Okay, because she thought it was 10 because there was one dot next to the 1. And the child had kidney failure because of that, and they had to replace the kidney. So this is the extent of problem that can occur in a person. A lot of people have died because of wrong medicine and wrong dose. So let us see what patients and the health workers should know about the medicines. First, the name of the medicine and the dose of the medicine which a patient has to take has to be known. Then the patient as well as health worker who's prescribing should know why the medicine is important and what disease it will treat or cure. Next, whenever any medicine is given, the label should be read properly each time. And whenever a prescription is given, when the medicine has to be taken, how it has to be taken, everything has to be known. The health worker should inform the patient about the side effects that can occur. For example, one of the medicines which is given for treatment for leprosy can cause the urine to become nearly red in color. Okay, a metallic red color. So a lot of patients, they stop the medicine thinking it is blood in the urine. Okay, that is why now all patients are given advice or counsel telling that when they take this medicine the urine will become red in color. So now because they know the side effect, they take the medicine without stopping it, so the disease is also cured. Same way, some medications interact with each other. That is, if you are taking 2 or 3 medicines for different diseases, one medicine may interact with the other medicine. So it is always better to tell the doctor when you go for a disease about the other medicines that you are taking. For example, you may take painkillers for a knee pain. Same time, if you have cold, you may take cold remedies. So things like that. Then if you miss a dose, suppose you do not take your medicine for one day or one time, you should know what you have to do. So a health worker also should inform the patient to take the medicine properly. If they miss a dose, what has to be done should also be told. Next thing is, you should know that if you are allergic to any medicines, usually if high allergic medicines are prescribed for a patient, the doctors will do a test to check the allergy before prescribing it. So you should know about the allergies. Then how to take the medicine. Make sure that your medicine is taken in the correct dose. If it's a capsule or a tablet, unless you are told to break it into half or take it in a different way, you should take the medicine as a whole. Then you should take your medicines at the right time, whether it's in the morning or evening or during the afternoon, before food or after food, what you have to take with the medicine, all this information you have to know. Then keeping the medicines safe by keeping them out of the sunlight and heat, because that can react with some medicines and change the composition of medicine. The medicine also should be kept away from pets and children, because they can meddle with the medicine, and if they consume the medicine can cause serious side effects. Then medication should be stored where other people's medicine, suppose 2 or 3 people in your family are taking medicines, one person's medicine should be away from the other person's medicine so that it does not get mixed, and medicine should be in their original bottles. These are the safety aspects that every person has to know about taking medicines. Okay, there are 2 types of medicines. One is the prescription medicine, other is the non-prescription or over the counter medicine. It's called OTC or over the counter medicine. What is a prescription medicine? Prescription medicine can be purchased from the medical store or pharmacy only with the doctor's prescription. So the doctor has to sign the prescription, and they would have written their registration number, so that it is not given by the pharmacist without the prescription. And these drugs usually have some serious side effects, because they can cause serious problems if they are taken without the doctor's prescription and doctor's advice. Okay, that is why they cannot be bought over the counter. Just like that, you cannot pay money and get the medicine. You have to have a prescription. Usually sedatives are prescription medicine, because people, if they take the medicine, they can go to sleep. So it's not usually given for all people. Antidepressants and things like that are given only for prescriptions. Then non-prescription over-the-counter medicines are the medicines which you can just go and buy in the pharmacy without a prescription. For example, if you have a headache, if you're going and taking Metacin, or if you feel mild fever, if you buy Metacin, it is given to you without any prescription. These are over-the-counter medicines. There are a lot of over-the-counter medicines as well as prescription medicines in pharmacy. Then, till recently, medical sociology did not pay much attention to the medicines and their production. Okay, but the medicines are usually produced by pharmaceutical companies, and they are the ones which actually spread the medicine. We already learnt about consumerism. Every patient is a consumer. They buy medicines. So drug companies usually work for profit. They make medicines in bulk and make a lot of profit. Of course, that is their job. But at the same time, people are at a disadvantage, especially those who are suffering from illnesses, and they have to pay a high cost for the medicines. So this is the reason why government actually regulates the medicines cost. For example, the government looks at the charges that every medicine is costing, and at times they regulate the cost of medicine so that people can benefit. Even now, if coronavirus, there is a vaccine or medicine, if the pharmaceutical companies price it very high, people cannot afford it. So the government will intervene and lower the cost. They give a ceiling or maximum price for which the medicine can be sold. One thing you have to know about the regulation is the Drugs and Cosmetics Act 1940. So this is the act which regulates the import, manufacture, distribution and sale of drugs in India. So any company that imports medicine, manufactures medicine, distributes or sells medications in India, they come under this act. So there are a lot of provisions in the act, but a few things that I will tell you. What are misbranded drugs? If a medicine is colored, coated or powdered or polished so that the damage is concealed, so that the medicine looks better, or if it is not labeled in the proper manner, then it is called a misbranded drug. You know what is a brand? A brand is any company which produces a product. So if they give the wrong label or if they change the appearance of the medicine to show it as a different drug, then it is called misbranding, and that is a crime as per the Drugs and Cosmetics Act. Then adulterated drug. What is adulteration? If any unwanted material is present in the medicine. For example, if any decomposed material, or if the wrong things. Like for example, if you buy pepper from shop, they put papaya seeds in that. That's called adulteration. Same way, if you buy tea leaves, then they put some other material inside so that they sell at a profit. So same way, some drugs can be adulterated. To increase the content, they put some other unwanted material. Sometimes through mistakes, the drugs can have harmful material in them. So these are called adulterated drugs, and that is also a crime. Any company producing adulterated drugs can be punished. Then spurious drugs. Spurious means they are imported under name and which belongs to another drug. So it is like an imitation drug. So suppose somebody sells you jewelry saying it is gold and it is not actually gold, you have paid so much money for it, then that is a crime, you feel cheated. Same way, spurious drugs are those where the name is something else and actually it is another drug, and it is a wrong drug. That is spurious drug. So that is also punishable and again under the Drugs and Cosmetics Act of 1940. So this is how medicines are regulated in India, and the cost of medicines is regulated. The other aspect of the regulation is the Central Drug Standard Control Organization, or CDSCO. Okay, it is the National Drug Regulatory Authority of Government of India. There are so many regulatory authorities in India. For the insurance companies, there is an insurance regulatory authority. Banks have a regulatory authority. Like that, for drugs, the National Drug Regulatory Authority of Government of India is the regulatory body. So it regulates or regulates the quality of drugs and cosmetics as well as medical devices that are produced or imported in the country. Okay, so the main mission of this organization is to safeguard or protect the public by improving the safety, effectiveness and quality of drugs. Okay, so whenever a medicine is produced by a company in India, this organization ensures that the medicine is safe for the people, it is effective for the disease for which it is produced, and it is of good quality. Okay, they not only control the medications, but they also control cosmetics and medical devices. Okay, so this will help in protecting and promoting health in India. There are some functions of the central authority. They lay down the standards of drugs, cosmetics and other diagnostic devices. They lay down regulatory measures, and they also make changes to the rules and regulations as time permits. During coronavirus, they would have changed some laws so that hydrochloroquine can be exported to some countries, it cannot be exported to some countries. So all these changes are made by this organization. Then they regulate the market authorization of new drugs. Whenever a new drug is produced, now a lot of pharmaceutical companies are trying to produce a new drug for coronavirus. So it is not easy to produce a new drug. You have to first do the research, and even if you do the research and it is effective, immediately you cannot market it. First it has to be tested in animals, then it has to be tested in few people, then it has to be tested on a large number of people, and only then if it is effective it can be released to the public. So there are a lot of regulations when new drugs are authorized. So this is under the purview of this organization. Then they also regulate the clinical research in India. They approve licenses to manufacture certain drugs. Okay, so because they are the regulatory body, they are the ones who issue licenses for the drug production. They regulate the standards of imported drugs. Just because India there is a lot of regulation, some companies will import and they will spread the wrong drugs. So this organization prevents that also. Then they do work relating to the Drugs Technically Advisory Board and Drugs Consultative Committee. They test the drugs at the central drugs labs. So spontaneous tests are done to check the quality and effectiveness of all the medicines. So this will help the companies which produce medicines to maintain the quality. And they also publish Indian Pharmacopoeia. Okay, so these are the functions of the central organization, and this is how medicines are regulated in India. Okay, the next topic we are going to see is citizenship and health. This is a simple topic. What is citizenship? Which country are you all citizens of? We are all citizens of India. That means we are a part of this country. We were born and brought up in this country. We hold the passport of this country. Okay, so citizen means somebody who is part of a country. And what is the relationship between citizenship and health? There are a lot of relationships. If you are a citizen of India, you cannot go to US and claim healthcare services there. Same way, if a foreigner comes here, then they cannot get free treatment in public hospitals unless the government makes a provision for that. Usually they have to get treatment in private hospitals. So, but at the same time, all Indians can go to any hospital in India and get free treatment if it's a government hospital. So that is the relationship between citizenship and health. So each government serves the people or serves the citizens of its own country. So there are according to T.H. Marshall's essay, the citizenship has three elements. One is the civil element, next is a political element, and the social element. So civil means the freedom of speech, thought and belief. So all of us have freedom of speech, freedom of thought and freedom of belief in India. Same way we have a political part of the citizenship, that is we can participate in all the voting and we can also be a representative or we can stand for MLA election or MP election. That is the political aspect of citizenship. Then the social aspect is each person who is living in this country, we can access health care and other welfare that is provided by the government. So there is public distribution system or the ration shops. So that is a welfare measure by the government. Same way we have the government hospitals. So if you are a citizen of this country, you can access all these welfare measures. So that is the social aspect of a citizenship. Okay, so if we take the example of coronavirus again, it's simple for us to understand. I am using coronavirus example in everything because you all know about the disease, you are hearing about it day in and day out, so it's easy for you to understand when it's related to your subject. So the citizens of the whole country had to change their lifestyle and stay at home to prevent the disease from spreading. Okay, each and everyone had to undergo whatever the government told. So as a citizen of the country, it is your responsibility to follow the rules of the government. Same way, it is the responsibility of the government to protect its citizens from this disease. So that is the reason why the government made policies. Suppose you are from another country, the government will not say you have to follow the rules of India. So every person in our country, because we are citizens, we have a right to be protected, and the government makes policies so that we have good health and the people have to follow it. One more thing is, as citizens, all of us have equal right to the health, whether you are a male or female, whether you are rich or poor, whether you are high caste or low caste or whatever religion, all of us have equal right to health. So this is true in almost every country. In the UK, the National Health Service is there. It is the government hospital system. Okay, they provide free healthcare for all the people in their own country. Same way in USA, every person who works, they have to pay for health insurance. So as part of the health insurance, they are given free treatment in any hospital and the insurance company gets paid. So this is how all the governments treat their citizens. In India, we have the primary, secondary and tertiary level hospitals. So tertiary level are the university hospitals and the district hospitals where all services are available. So we are able to access healthcare free in these hospitals. So every citizen of our country, for whatever sickness we have, we can access this healthcare, and this is the reason why it's called a welfare state. That means because we are part of the society in our country, we are able to access the welfare measures that the government has put in place, that is free healthcare. So welfare can also include public distribution system or the ration shops. So any welfare that a person gets because of being a citizen, that welfare is beneficial to the individual, and the welfare that is provided by the government is for the people's benefit. So that is why such governments are called welfare states. Okay, and let's see what happens in reality. We have told that all people should have healthcare free and everybody should have good access to healthcare, but in reality, this is something which I have been telling you right from the beginning of this year, that though the government wants everybody to have equal healthcare, the second topic in your syllabus was social patterning of health. Because of your age, because of your sex, because of your religion, caste, ethnicity, because of various classes, what happens is people do not have equal health access. So there is inequality or inequity in healthcare. So this needs to be overcome, and who has a role to play here? The medical sociologists. Yes, you have to play a major role to ensure that every citizen of the country is provided adequate health care. So there is a lot of inequality in healthcare. So as a medical sociologist, you have to ensure, you have to first find out where the inequality is present, why it is present, and then come up with solutions, advise the government, and make sure that every person in our country has equal health care in spite of the differences in their religion, income levels, and all these things. So that will help in making our country good in health care. Okay, so before we finish, we'll see one more topic, which is Patients Charter in the UK, which is a list of rights. Okay, it is not legally binding, but it tells a standard of care which every citizen of that country is eligible for. So that means if it is a right, every person is eligible for good standard of care. Same way in our own country, on paper it says every citizen of the country has to have access to good health care in best hospitals, and the cost is free of cost. Okay, so every person should be able to get good quality health care for any type of disease. So there should be more patient or community involvement in health services if this has to be achieved. We saw in the previous topics of social movement why people have to get involved in the general population, not only the sick people but even the normal people. They have to get involved in accessing healthcare and creating social movements so that the government makes policies to create equal healthcare. But in our society, who makes the rules? The government makes the rules, professionals makes the rules. Even in coronavirus, who made all the rules? The central government told, okay, quarantine. Central government told, you all have to stay at home, you all have to wear masks, you all have to do this. But who advised the central government? Maybe some politicians, maybe some bureaucrats, and maybe some doctors at high level. So it is still a medical model. So every rule that is made to provide health care is top down. From the top it is coming to the people. But it should be a community involvement, and all the people should be consulted for treatment, and they should get benefit. Then only it will become a good citizenship model for healthcare. But even now, though we have citizens getting good health care, it is the top down model where the government decides what people have to get, how they have to get. But ultimately the best system would be people themselves having good knowledge about the healthcare and getting the right healthcare at the right time. So that would be the best model. Okay, hope you understood this class. We have one more class in this topic. With that, we'll finish this chapter. Thank you.